Okay, so last night during those early morning hours, I stayed up until about 5:30 in the morning, by which point the sun had started going up. It was around 5 in the morning, so the sun was about maybe halfway up at that point. I was working on trying to work on my revision for the post-mortem essay. During that work, I ended up lengthening some paragraphs with a sentence here, a sentence there, and right before I fell asleep for the night, maybe early morning for the day, I ended up starting a new paragraph that, should I fully develop, this paragraph I gleaned from watching a combination of a YouTube video based off of the First Battle of Grozny that talked about Russian leaders being incompetent and corrupt, including in terms of the military. At times I had thoughts that could have something to do with military purges, but I'm not sure on that, so I don't want to write something like that down until I'm sure of it. I first woke up around 9:30 in the morning, but then I fell back asleep. Woke up around 11 in the morning, and then I fell asleep again and woke up at around 12:30 in the afternoon. I headed off for lunch at really more like a late breakfast at Harrison Dining Hall, and after getting one of the yogurts is left over from when I went to go get that late breakfast. I believe this is it. That's the one kept in the mini fridge. I got it around 1 p.m., I would say. And after eating that late breakfast, or really more like the whole late lunch, or Yeah, that late breakfast, but it was actually considered lunchtime at the time. Even with the whole continuous service throughout the day due to it being finals week. After doing that, I made a stop over at the Nest in order to get 2 energy drinks. I got 2 of what I at the time thought were those X-Durants, the kiwi strawberry flavor, but in actuality, I ended up accidentally getting... Wait. It seems one of them... It seems one of them was at least, yeah, I was right on that one, but one of them was a punched Rockstar energy drink, and I believe that's the one over there, and I had it at around the time that I was eating the late breakfast. I spent much of today working on filling out making answers on the study guide for the final. Figured that in a sort of sense, it'd be a kind of way in which I could sort of have extra time to take the exam. Since I have a few computer keys that are unresponsive, and so I primarily filled out the 15 short answer questions on the test that I took from 6:30 p.m. to around 7:30 p.m. It turns out the test didn't automatically stop when I hit that 1 hour time limit, but you're supposed to only have an hour, so I only allowed myself to go a few minutes over that limit. That was made soft because of how the professor programmed it, but I primarily answered the questions through a combination of copying and pasting the answers that I gave. On my midterm study guide, I opened up in case it came in handy for some reason. in any case in which I thought that copying and pasting them would be help me to answer the short answer questions, I spent hours typing these out while listening to YouTube videos. Haven't spent all day working on it. Well, really more like all of the afternoon and some of the evening working on it. I ended up not having time to read the textbooks. I answered the short answer questions through a combination of copying and pasting and doing some typing by opening up the touchscreen keyboard that opens up on the bottom half of my computer screen. And to be exact, it's this one right here. But I disabled the touchscreen manually on my laptop because whenever it was enabled, it would give me problems in the past by making my mouse cursor go kind of crazy at times, as if I was tapping the screen when I wasn't. And disabling the touchscreen entirely was the only way to resolve that issue. So, I would use the mouse cursor to type out the key presses. And then when the AI suggestions came up, suggesting the word I was intending to type out, I would click on it in order to save time. I was able to zoom through the short answer questions at first by picking the ones basically starting in the middle of that page with all of the short answer. Since all of the short answers were on this individual page for the whole final, and I started in the middle and scrolled up and then down to determine which questions I could reliably answer, which ones I could answer right away, and then put more effort into the questions that gave me a bit of trouble, and then I had to do some extra thinking on. It's why I kind of slowed down on the rate of answering questions near the end. And due to their inherent nature, an online exam is pretty much always going to be open book, unless maybe you run it through Zoom. But in this case, it was not run through Zoom, so it was open note, open book. by the time of the starting to take the final, I pretty much had just the only tabs I had open on my browser were the one for the exam on Blackboard, and then a YouTube tab so I could listen to Everywhere at the End of Time when taking the exam. But I started listening to Everywhere at the End of Time a little early, so I got through an hour and 12 minutes of it before submitting my short answers for the final. The final for my African politics class was pretty much entirely like the midterm for my African politics class. Consisted entirely of 15 short answer questions. Which, depending on the question asked, the answer would range from a single sentence to a short paragraph. Though when copying and pasting, especially from the midterm study guide, I would have to reformat the text to be consistent with where I would get it from typing it out. .12 font, Arial. After submitting my short answers, one of which includes a question regarding a definition of conflict involving a scenario in which one college roommate living in the same dorm, like sleeping with the light on, while the other likes sleeping with the light off. I personally prefer sleeping with the light off, as I think you sleep better that way. That's leading to health benefits, but it's not a huge deal to me. After submitting, I called my dad to let me know that I was done. I believe I had earlier called him at 9:30 in the morning. Before falling back to sleep. And during that phone call, he specifically told me to take the final at 6-ish. There was a point in which I considered starting it at 6:45, but by the time 6:30 came around, I figured that I couldn't significantly improve my chances within 15 minutes. I went to get the late lunch at Harrison Dining Hall at around 7:45 p.m. in which I got this yogurt to serve as leftover. The yogurt tastes oddly like Go-Gurt. After getting the late lunch, I made another trip to the Nest and ended up getting 2 more energy drinks, this one being exactly this sort of branding, but instead of kiwi strawberry, it's cotton candy flavored. And when I went to get the early breakfast, I briefly stopped by Devin, the RD's office, who told me that he had sent me an email regarding me choosing a checkout time, because I had not done so yet because I wasn't entirely sure on when I would check out during this week. Well, right now, I'm still not entirely sure, but I replied in the email Devin sent me that I should be out by Friday, 1 p.m. Though my dad would like to get me on Thursday, as he's less busy on Thursday. The only problem with that is that I might want to take the 50-minute national security final on Friday, and for some odd reason I can only be on the guest internet at Dad's apartment unit for now. And it requires re-authentication every few hours, so that could happen while I'm taking the final. I've pretty much been spending the rest of the time watching YouTube videos. I pretty much realized that I've just got to work on a new styrofoam prop. A new styrofoam block drawing.